All right, let's start. Hi, everyone. My name is Abderrahim Amour. So I will be your host today for this conference related to graduate studies. It is a great pleasure for me to present you this conference about research programs. So to introduce myself a little, I'm currently finishing my bachelor degree in software engineer here at Polytechnique Montréal. So I'm also thinking about pursuing my studies to postgrad just like you. So I won't be alone today. We'll be asking questions to our guest speaker, Maude Bourassa. She is a senior advisor to future students who want to learn more about Polytechnic research programs and also the spheres of excellence in research, and also about the many expertise of Polytechnic professors. So in this conference, you will also get some practical tips on how to find a research program project and also a supervisor for your master or PhD program. So I'm convinced that this interview will motivate many of us to undertake a research program in the field of engineering. So before to start, for those who would like to ask questions to our guest speaker during the presentation, you just have first to click on the chat button on your bottom of your screen. And after that, just select everyone. Make sure you have everyone option on your chat window. And finally, you can type your question in the text box. So after that, our guest speaker will answer your question only at the end of the conference. So without much waiting, I'm happy to welcome our speaker, Ms. Maude Bourassa. Hello, Maude.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Abdi.
Hi. So like I said before, I'm currently in my last year of engineering, so I don't have to convince myself on the reputation of Poly and the quality of the education. However, when I think about pursuing my studies in research, I'm not too sure about the option available and the strong area of Polytechnic. So I have many interests, but my choice is not set yet. So where should I start to find what might be the best for me in Polytechnic expertise?
Yeah, thank you, Abdi, for that question. So you're right, and I'm pretty sure all of the students listening to us at the moment have maybe the same questions. Because it's not too easy to find what is your real interest when you have been exposed to so many expertise and so many different fields of engineering during your undergrad level. So as Poly offers many graduate programs in 17 fields of engineering, it's normal not to know where to go. So you have, when you're watching this conference, you'll get all the opportunity to know how to browse on our website to really find what's your interest. And the school, to help you to do that, we have defined 8 spheres of excellence that we will show you further during this conference, where to go on our website and how to browse on that. So these spheres of excellence have been targeted not only by programs in themselves, they focus into big issues in the society. So when you'll see them in this conference, you'll see that every spheres of excellence can match different fields of engineering. So I hope you can find yourself in different spheres of excellence to find what's really what you would like to do as a research program.
Perfect. So if I understand well, one of the admission requirement for research program, master or the PhD one, will be to find a project first before applying, right?
Yes and no. So maybe I haven't been so much clear about that. So in fact, the first action to be taken to get an admission offer at Polytechnique, when we talk about research programs, which are the research-based masters or the PhD, is to find a research supervisor or research director, as we call it, which is a professor from the school who agrees to supervise you during your studies and will at the end propose you a project to work on. So even if the step of searching for a professor is not a mandatory one for submitting the application, so it's not a field that you have to fill when submitting your application, it is really strongly recommended that you establish a first contact with one or more professors at the school to know if they are interested in your profile and if they have projects to propose to new students. And if you do so, you'll have much more chances on being admitted.
Oh, that's cool. And how can we know which professor can supervise new students?
Yeah, okay. So before getting to this question on knowing which professor can supervise new students, it is really important, as you had mentioned earlier, that every student, including you, Abdi, that you know what would be your best interest for pursuing graduate studies. So you have many expertise that you are interested in the software engineering for yourself. So you have to target what were the aspects on your undergrad that catch better your attention. And so you could focus and target the professor who would be acting in that field of engineering.
Yes, I think you're right. I think that one field of engineering can be found in many spheres. So I should check almost every spheres to see what might be applied to my interest. So another question, when we have found a project of interest, what should we do next?
Let me show you. If you give me the host to this event, I'll be able to share my screen.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you share your screen. There we go.
There you go. So I am here on our future website students, and I'm in the research tab here, and you can see here our spheres of excellence. So as I mentioned, there are 8 of them. You have here the title of every spheres, and when you select one, and if you go down, then you'll see some examples of projects that are offered. So the ideal would be to browse on the different expertise and click on the example projects that give you a little idea of what we are doing. And then you'll see here the name of the professor. And if you click, you'll have all the information about the professors. So it may happen that if you browse on the list here of the example of projects, that you will not find anyone suitable for you. That could happen because this is only a list of examples. So these are maybe not actual projects offered by professor. So if it doesn't happen to be anything interesting to you, here you can see on the list of the professor, you can browse on the whole web expertise of our professors. Like this.
Oh wow, that's great! And does all all the professor found with the browser have like a project to propose, or?
Yeah, yes and no. So the whole list of professors that you can see here, there is 284 professors active at Poly. They're all active in research. So at some point, they all do research and they also provide students, but they don't necessarily have active projects offered to students.
All right, it's very clear. I just also in the result that you have some professor seems to clearly indicate they have like a project, but I saw like for example in a blue frame. Does it mean that if one professor doesn't have like a project to propose, like the one we saw, it means that he doesn't have project and we should not contact him?
Yeah, what you refer to is here, for example, this Professor Bruno Aga has this blue frame and he says, I am recruiting. So obviously he has a project to offer and you could contact him to send your application to be among his research students. But in fact, it doesn't mean that all the other professors who do not have the blue frame do not have projects to offer. So some professors choose not to advertise this blue frame because they don't want to receive too many emails, but it doesn't mean that they don't have anything to offer. So if there is a professor interesting to you, I strongly suggest you to open his profile, browse on it, and send him an email. He might have something to propose. So you have to go, I would call it, go fishing and check if there is something interesting for you.
All right, great, thank you. Another question, do you have any advice for me on how to proceed to contact a professor?
Yeah, definitely. Let me just go back here. So the best way to proceed would be to follow the guidelines that we have put on the future website for future students. So if you go here on find a research supervisor, then you'll have all the steps to follow. And if you go here making a request for a professor supervision, you'll see all the tips that we are giving to students to make sure that you contact the right way the professor to get as much attention as you deserve and to make sure that the professor will reply you.
Right, that's great. And can we contact, for example, more than one professor at a time?
That's always a good question. That's a tricky one. I would say, and it's a personal opinion, that you can contact more than professor at a time, but you have to be careful. So it's not every professor who will take the time to answer all of the emails that they receive because they receive many per day. However, if I'm telling you right now, if you copy and paste the same message that is very general to all the professors that you will email, they will probably not answer you at all because they will know that it's a copy and paste sent to, let's say, dozens of professors, and they will not feel concerned. They will probably just not reply to it. So just be careful with your strategy. If you email more than one, make sure that your email is personal to every single professor that you contact.
Correct, exactly. All right. Thank you very much, Maude. I'm gonna share my screen again. So perfect. So here my screen. You can see my screen, no?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So another question. This one is more about wondering if me or maybe other students that follow all your advice and those that are on the website, but cannot succeed in finding a project or maybe a professor. In that situation, what can we do?
Yeah, so I understand, as I mentioned, it's not all the professors who take time to reply to emails. So you may contact some professor and will never receive an answer, either positive or negative. So if your attempts on contacting professor remain vain and do not lead to a supervision agreement before applying, even if it's not mandatory but fully recommended, you can still decide to apply to Poly and you'll have chances on being admitted. So the best tips I would give you would be submitting your application, but put a second option program on your application, as there is 2 program options that you can put. And this second option program, obviously, if you speak French, because professional programs have, you have to dominate French language if you want to put that kind of program. So that would be to select a research program as a first option, which is what you would like to do. But as a second program, put a professional one, since the implication of the professor is less in these professional programs, you'll have more chances on being admitted if we cannot find you a supervisor for your first choice. That would be a research program.
Okay, nice. And when we have found a research supervisor or not, maybe what should we do next for the admission?
Yeah, the rest is very simple because you have all the details on our website and you see it here on the screen here. So first step would be recommendation of trying to find a supervisor. If it doesn't work, you can still apply within having a supervisor, and you can always put a second option program, professional program, as I mentioned. And to do so, you just have to go online and fill the form online, which is your application. And on this application, there is no place where you can upload the documents, but there is another step after filling the form. You have to send either by email, coming in person at Poly, or send it by post mail. Send all your supporting documents. And for the supporting documents, you have it on the website that shows on the red dot. So you'll have the deadlines application, but you also have the list of documents that you need to send. And if you decide to send them by email, then you have here the email address, which is also displayed on the website.
All right, perfect. It's pretty clear. Thank you very much, Maude, for answering all my questions. I think we were pretty much at the end. Just gonna go to the next one. So I think we have shared super relevant information here, and for any student wishing to undertake a graduate research program at Polytechnique. So let's now take maybe some questions from the audience. So I'm gonna check if we have some questions. So right now, yeah, I think we have one. If yeah, let me ask this one. If one professor is very interesting to us, but never reply, do you recommend to send maybe another email to have like a feedback about our status?
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. So sometimes you are very interested in the work of a professor and you email once, maybe you have mailed other professors at the time, or maybe you're just waiting for that answer to go and contact other professor. If that one do not reply, what should you do? You can always write again, but be careful again with that. Just ask yourself why that professor didn't reply. Is it because maybe he was too busy, maybe he was not interesting, or maybe he was not interested, but did you do the work you had to do? Did you send your resume so the professor could know if you're a good student for him? Did you send or put in your resume your GPA average? So are you showing that you are a good student? Did you personalize your email? Did you say, hi, Mr., or did you say, hi, Mr. Abderrahim? Did you personalize that point? Did you do a match between your own experience and the experience of the professor, so the professor would feel concerned about your email? So did you do your work being a student searching for a research program? If yes, just send a reminder. Hey, professor, I don't know if you have had the chance to see my email. I'm sending it again. I'm really interested, but add something more to your previous email so it would catch the attention of the professor, or remind him that, yeah, he wanted to reply, but didn't take time to reply. So that should be the time to do so. So ask yourself questions. And if you answer all the questions, then allow yourself to send a reminder.
To send a reminder, follow up. Okay. Perfect, thank you. So maybe we have time for another one other question. All right. So if I cannot find, for example, a supervisor and I'm get admitted in my second option program, so probably in non-thesis master. So when should I initiate the process of changing program to research program?
Yeah, so if you're admitted in your second option program, that's a really good strategy to come to Polytechnique, and then keep in mind what's your final goal and do a switch program, changing program. And you can do so as soon as you have started your first semester. So if you were already fulfilling all the admission criteria, you were just missing the professor. So once you start your classes, try to approach the professor that are teaching you in the fields that are of interest to you in the field of research. And then ask them, hey, professor, I've been admitted to a professional program, but I would like to switch to a research program. Would you like to be my supervisor? Maybe they will not want to commit because they don't know what you are capable of, because you don't have any marks yet during your studies at Poly. So they will wait for a second semester, and maybe they will be already willing to supervise you. So it's always 1 month before finishing your semester. So let's say if you start in September, it will be December 1st would be the deadline for asking for change program. But if it's your case, just come to me, send me an email once you're at Poly, and we'll check with your files and we'll proceed to. You'll have a couple of months in your first semester to ask for a changing program, but start searching for your research supervisor.
Okay, great. Thank you, Maude, for all that the explanation. So this is all the time that we have. So in my name and behalf of Polytechnique Montréal, I would like to thank you all for joining us today. So just a reminder that our advisors and staff member will be online till 4 p.m. to answer your question about graduate programs at Polytechnique. So do not hesitate to visit their information booth on the virtual open house website. So you can always at any time visit also our website for more details. And again, thank you everyone for joining us, and have a good day.
Thank you very much, Abdi. And I see that there is still questions going on the chat. So as Abdi mentioned, I'll be to the booth for graduate programs. I'll be on the professional side, and I have many colleagues that are with the research programs. So do not hesitate to visit them and ask all of your questions. They will be very pleased to answer them. Thank you very much, all.